So as we were choosing music for the concert, we wanted something to contrast the more upbeat, faster stuff, and we were looking for slower songs. And the difficulty with slower songs is oftentimes people can have sort of boring parts, maybe the violins get all the melody, nobody else has fun stuff. So I decided to try and see if there was a piece that I could arrange for them, to sort of customize it to what we have in our class this year, an ensemble. And I remembered there was a piece by the, as you guys know, I've been researching music by historic women composers, and one of them had a beautiful cello sonata. Her name is Louise Farrenc, is the composer of the piece. She's French, so her last name is hard to pronounce. It's not like Frank, it's like Farrenc. It like ends in the back of your throat. It's F-A-R-R-E-N-C. So Louise Farrenc is a composer from the 1800s, and she composed a lot of, well, she did symphonies and chamber music, but she also did sonatas and smaller pieces. One of these is for cello and piano. It's just a gorgeous melody. It's what we'll be playing for you now. The piece has 3 movements. We're doing the second movement. I was actually I fell in love with it when I heard it, that I found a transcription of the piece for viola, since I play viola, and the cello and the viola have the same strings, just an octave apart, so we kind of steal the cello stuff sometimes. So I was playing it at home, and I realized that just the viola part and the cello part alone felt very kind of empty, and it really needed the piano part, because there's a lot of conversation back and forth between the piano and the solo. So this popped into my head as a thought with, oh, this could actually work very well for an orchestra by taking all the different piano parts and sharing the cello melody across the orchestra. So that's what we've sort of done for this today. We did change, or I changed the key of it to make it more accessible across all the instruments. But it's really beautiful, and they've done a great job playing it. And I joked that it was my Valentine's gift to them this year, because I gave it to them on Valentine's Day. So it's quite beautiful. And a little bit more about Louise Farrenc. So she lived during the 1800s, so now we're kind of a century later than Mozart. So now we're sort of getting into the Romantic era, where the music is more intense and vigorous and more lyrical, and not so clean and crisp, but a bit more legato and smoother. And in France, curiously, the French loved opera, hated symphonies. Like in the whole 1800s, there's really just one French composer that's super famous for doing symphonies. Hector Berlioz wrote Symphonie Fantastique. Other than that, most of the symphonies in the 1800s were being written by German and Austrian composers. So Louise Farrenc studied the style of the current day German and Austrian composers, and was actually one of the most prominent composers of symphonies from France. She did 3 symphonies that are just phenomenal. And she had them premiered during her life. Not fully published, a lot of her smaller works were published because her husband was actually a music publisher, so they worked together to do that. There's a lot of interesting things about her. One to share was that she was the only female professor at the Paris Conservatory for the entire 1800 span. And she kept advocating for equal pay to her male counterparts. And finally, once she was established enough as a composer and had enough recognition, she could finally win her case and had equal pay. But at the same time, she was not allowed to teach composition, and no female students at the time were even allowed to take composition. So she mostly focused on teaching piano and working with piano students. So here we have for you tonight this piece. The movement is called Andante, Sostenuto. Very beautiful and legato, and it's from the Cello Sonata, Opus 46 by Louise Farrenc. And we have a string orchestra arrangement for you, custom made for this group that's on stage. So enjoy.